And these are tough topics to talk about, but regardless, it doesn't feel difficult. It feels keen. It feels home. It feels like home. It feels like,
Definitely. And I think that's what's beautiful from it. And I mean, I'm a big believer in, you know, beauty being born from like real like traumatic like experiences, and we know whether it's music, whether it's art, or even like a podcast, if you like,
mm,
because it kind of it gives you a platform. It makes you feel, like you just said, like home. And without these kind of conversations, or those platforms, everyone is isolated. Everyone is, and we're in obviously this real horrible situation that not only one person's facing, the whole world is facing this.
mm,
And I'm just so grateful to have that experience and getting the chance to learn and meet like-minded people, because it's there's nothing more beautiful, I don't think, than being able to have these kind of conversations and open up and kind of admit vulnerability.
mm, mhm.
It's free therapy as well, so
It is. Vulnerability is the key word, I guess. Yeah, and so many people, especially men, and I do want to talk with you about men's mental health. But especially with men, it's so difficult to even fathom what vulnerability is. Um, so you stopped therapy because of COVID. It didn't happen, not even through video or anything. You weren't able.
No. So what I mean, in the beginning, I was so lucky to have the therapist that I got, because
Mm,
she was aware of the situation. Like, she worked where my mum
okay.
currently lives.
Yeah.
So and she's an incredible woman and like therapist. And yeah, I was so lucky. But because of the lockdown
Mm,
restrictions, and then because her
yeah.
children were like
Mm,
at risk, she had to stop attending obviously my mum's place, which is obviously safety first. But again, as much as like I was really annoyed about not being able to continue, there was something kind of, it was supposed to happen. It was supposed to, she gave me the tools
I see.
that I needed, and the bit of the kick up the bum that I needed to be like, okay, you need to fix this now.
Okay.
Because I think this is, especially with mental health, is, and as much as this might sound quite like hard hitting and like as if I'm pointing the finger, but like, you're not going to get better if you don't want to get better. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're putting in the work, it's not easy. Like, those therapy sessions took me down some really hard, difficult paths, and they opened some very difficult doors for me of stuff that I hadn't told anyone, or I hadn't even kind of told myself. So it's not easy, but you are going to have to want to change to get better. It's not easy, but believe me, I mean, my mum's living proof of the hard work pays off. Because if, I mean, the doctors say it to us all the time, like, if the fact that we were there every day, like playing music, squeezing her hand, giving her stuff to kind of think about, and like little actions, it, God knows where she would be.
Right.
So the hard work does pay off.
Yeah. It is hard work. Um, I discovered yesterday, didn't know this existed. I don't know if you know of this term, the man box. The man
No.
box isn't, see, it's interesting. I guess it's probably not super out there, also, which is also telling of the status quo of men's mental
Men's mental health. Yeah.
health, right? I think, and this is just something I discovered yesterday in talking with my brother. Um, he lives in the UK, actually. Hello, Bristol. Hi. um, but this guy, this actually New Yorker, Tony Porter, came up with this term, the man box, which is just short for the socialization of men by their parents and by, well, men, I guess,
Yeah.
which makes them involuntarily and unconsciously prone or resistant, actually, to vulnerability,
Hmm.
um, being empathetic to women's concerns. And this guy was saying, I borrowed his book from the library and I was reading it last night, and he says, it's not that these are not bad people, they're not bad men, they're not abusive, they're not rapists, they're normal,
Yeah.
regular people who want to do good, and they're highly concerned about their daughters, their wives, their mothers. But womanhood is not something that they were taught to care about.
Yeah.
um isn't it interesting? And
It's a bit, yeah.
therefore, yeah, and so it's all about this men don't cry, men don't show vulnerability, men
Hmm.
need to stay strong and bring home the bacon, men just show up and do the things. Um so mm, so he's trying, in the decades of his work, he's been trying to just debunk this and break it down and say, look guys, it's okay to cry, it's okay
Yeah,
to be in the dumps, it's okay to reach out for help, to ask for help.
definitely.
um it's okay to feel anxious and have a therapist and have depression, whatever it is.
I think it's
So
very
yeah.
important. I think we're definitely moving in the right direction with it
Mhm.
all. But I still see it now, like even with my group of friends. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm very open now with how I'm feeling, or like if I'm feeling anxious, or if I'm not quite feeling like, the lads are going down the pub, and I'm like, I'm not feeling it tonight. Like
Yeah.
I'm not in a good place. But I still see my friends struggle. And I
Yeah.
think it's now because I've been through it and I know the signs for myself that I see it in them.
Yeah.
So it's tough because there's still, I mean, I still do it on a daily basis. Like I'm fine.
Yeah.
It's that type of like, but then, whether you're male or female and you hear the words back, I'm fine, you automatically think something's not fine. Like, what
Yeah.
have I done wrong? Kind of thing.
Mm.
So, you know, it's definitely moving in the right directions, but there is no shame in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, everyone makes the joke about like crying when like Mufasa died in The Lion King, and you know, it still gets me every time. Like there is no shame in it whatsoever.
Mm.
Like it baffled, but then I'm probably very different because I've been raised by women. So
Mm.
it's like, I do wear my heart on my sleeve, but when all this happened with my mum, I had to be the strong one. But no, I rephrase that. I didn't have to be the strong one. I put myself in that position of like being the strong
Mm.
one,
Mm.
even though I was probably one of the worst for it, and I was crumbling. But
Yeah.
it wasn't until accepting vulnerability and accepting like I am struggling and reaching out for help that things started to change. That there's no shame in it whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why your podcast is so important, because it really is raising awareness for men's mental health and women alike, because we're human
Definitely.
before having a gender assigned to us at birth. And but you talk about the shame, but I think some of these people are so conditioned that they don't even, shame is even too much. They don't
Yeah.
even get to that point. They just stay at the level of, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. I'm just going to bottle it up, and I don't even know that I'm doing it. Um, but so I almost wish that these some people, some men would breach the shame aspect, because at
Yeah.
least it would give them something to feel,
It's
and
not
then
healthy. It's honestly, it's not healthy. Like the bottling things up, like you're going to get to a point where that bottle is going to get full,
mm,
and the bottle is going to either explode or it's going to pop. And there's something that my cousin works in mental health, and it's something that she said to me quite early days that's really stuck with me, is that whether you deal with this now or you deal with it
yeah,
5 years later, you are going to deal with it.
yeah,
So why put yourself through 5 years of pain, stress,
mm,
worry? Like just let it down, let your guard down, be open, honest. Like this is what's annoying me, this is what I'm struggling with, because there is always someone there at the end of the phone. There's so many help
mm,
like outlets and resources, whether it's online, your doctors, even people. You mentioned earlier on in in the show about, you know, these communities being there. Like my DMs are always open for anyone who is struggling. Like there is no seriousness about it. I'm not a medical health professional. I'm just speaking from my own experiences. But I can't tell you how much time I feel like I've wasted by not reaching out and talking. So just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Tap into what's really going on. Yeah. Do you, in your social media, do you feel you have a fair amount of male followers?
Definitely.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
nice.
quite what I'm incredibly grateful for is the fact that now I can class some of those as friends,
Hmm.
because we've all connected from like various kind of trauma or various kind of mental challenges, or you know, whatever it is. And it's now a very tight little community that everyone brings something to the table. You know, there's fitness instructors, there's
Yeah.
personal trainers, there's, you know, doctors, there's everyone from all different walks of life now being able to kind of give their little bit of advice. I mean, it's not a one size fits all thing for mental
No.
health. There's people out there who, you know, who enjoy meditation, who enjoy yoga, you know, all these different tools which are great, but they don't work for everyone. So I think it's very important as well to kind of understand that and stick with it. Go out and find what works for you. And this is what I'm so grateful of my little community, is the fact that people have given me tips. They're like, oh, try this workout. I mean, I don't listen to that person clearly, but it's nice to hear to his advice.
Yeah.
But you know, there's so many different things that I've been talking, like breathing techniques,
Yeah.
like, you know, swimming, like it's insane. And but it all comes back down to talking and having those kind of conversations about coping mechanisms, about different challenges, because it's just about learning new things. And I think it's only really having those conversations that you are going to move in the right direction.
Mm-mm. What are some tips you have then for when you're feeling down?
Ooh. So for me, music is my biggest coping mechanism. There's there's something great about making a playlist, and whether, you know, I've been incredibly lucky in the past to be able to go to a lot of gigs, to a lot of festivals, to, you know, on a lot of holidays where, you know, certain songs take me back to like kind of happy times and stuff.
Yeah.
So that for me is my biggest one. So whack your headphones in, go for a walk, clear your head. You know, it's very therapeutic, and just being out for a walk. Don't give yourself like a time limit. Just go wherever you need to go. Yeah, so walking, music, podcasts. The Waffle Shop podcast is great. So is Mind Bloom, you know, it's highly recommended there. But yeah, I think just being a little bit active, and not everyone's sociable, but you know, text your friend, see how they are, see if they want to go for a coffee, you know, see if they want to go for a walk with you. And there's something so therapeutic about that for me. Um, but yeah, I think that's my main tips.
Mm-hmm.
Whack your headphones in, go for a walk.
Yeah, a bike ride, a walk your dog. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've taken on baking as well. As long as
I don't
you
need that one. Don't
you
need
don't
that one.
that's one you're just going to choose
No.
to ignore.
I'm going to ignore you completely.
um
Doesn't even make it to the oven.
you just eat the mix.
Exactly.
I worry a little bit about the raw eggs in the
Yeah,
mix,
well,
but
I've had salmonella 4 times this year. 4 times this week.
I guess that explains it
It's
then.
Wednesday.
Stop it. Note to self, don't invite British guests on your program.
They ruin everything. You should know that by now, that the Brits ruin everything.
Just gonna edit this part out. No, you're amazing. You're wonderful. Too bad you're not European anymore, but
Yes. Sorry about that. I didn't
regardless.
vote that way, so I can't,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
that's what they all say. I didn't vote that way. But you're trying, you're trying. You do have NHS. We appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
Um,
Made that myself. No, I'm incredibly grateful for the NHS. I think,
yeah.
you know, they've given me my mum back and kind of tried to take her away in the first place, but we won't go into that. But they've given her back, and the incredible, you know, the nurses, doctors, therapists, everything, everyone involved in even looking after my mum now, like the carers and stuff, like they make it easier for me not to worry. Like they're phenomenal at what they do.
Mm. I appreciate this time so much. I would stay here, and we probably will stay here for a little longer. But for my editing's sake, we're gonna call it a wrap. And I thank you so much, Taylor, for coming on Mind Bloom. It was amazing. We're gonna continue waffling. This waffle was
Thank you for having me.
spectacular. Thank you.